This video is a presentation of the Tennessee chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Funding is provided by the Tennessee Department of Education, specifically the Tennessee Early Intervention System TEIS, and the Tennessee Department of Health.
Hello, I'm Dr. Deanna Bell, President of the Tennessee chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. I want to welcome you to the Screening Tools and Referral Training Program, otherwise known as START. The Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers Revised with Follow-Up Screening Tool, otherwise known as MCHAT-RF, is the focus of the fourth of 6 videos that make up a 2.5-hour physician-led, office-centered training program to help us all improve the care of children with developmental, emotional, and behavioral disorders. You should have downloaded the cases from the links provided that we will be discussing today. Let's find out more about what we can do to be more effective in primary care. Dr. Quentin Humberg, a developmental pediatrician and the medical director for the START program, tells us how to get started.
Welcome to Module 4 of the Screening Tools and Referral Training Program. This module will cover the Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers, revised with follow-up, the MCHAT-RF. This module is part of a 6-module series to improve screening and referral in practice. Autism spectrum disorders are a significant concern in many primary care practices. The latest data from the CDC shows that in most areas, 1 in 68 children are now being diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. The age of diagnosis has been falling around the country, but you may be surprised to know that the average age of diagnosis of autism in almost every area is close to 48 months. So we need to do a better job of assessing, screening, and referring children that have concerns. Data tells us that parents develop concerns at or before the child is 1 year of age, which reveals a significant gap between concerns and diagnosis. The other fact that has been pointed out with recent research is that early detection is going to make a significant difference and change the outcome of children with autism spectrum disorders. The AP recommends screening at both 18 and 24 months in addition to general developmental screening. So let's go through a few items needed to help you become more effective at screening for autism spectrum disorders. The Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers is a revision of a prior version of the MCHAT and can be administered at any time between the range between 16 and 30 months. It's important to recognize that you do not want to use this to screen for autism outside the ranges listed. You will not get valid results. There are 20 questions on this new form that's been adapted from an earlier version of the MCHAT, and it's available in both English and Spanish. It doesn't take but a few minutes to score, and the yes-no responses collected from the parents turn into pass-fail responses. All questions that are failed on this tool will indicate a degree of risk for autism. 3 of the questions are reverse scored, which means that no will indicate autism risk for normal questions and yes will indicate autism risk for questions 2, 5, and 12. If you refer to the information downloaded for this module, you'll see that those questions are what we call sensory questions, and as a result are all in the same category. The amount of risk does not vary between the risk categories. All failed questions indicate a certain degree of autism risk. When you get the total score, 0 to 2 failed items indicates a low risk, 3 to 7 a medium risk, and 8 to 12 a high risk. The importance with this new tool is that the follow-up interview is needed for children in the medium risk domain, and the high risk domain can be referred immediately for diagnostic evaluation. The Tennessee chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics has developed a brief training video on the MCHAT-RF with additional information on scoring and follow-up questions. This is available at the link provided. This 15-minute video will provide additional competence and confidence in administering this tool. Let's start with the MCHAT-RF for Riley. You should have downloaded the MChat form and scoring instructions, as well as the follow-up questions needed for this tool. Please identify the items Riley has failed on his MChat form and determine the risk level. As you review Riley's form, the scoring instructions are listed on the slide shown. No will indicate autism risk, except for questions 2, 5, and 12, where yes will indicate autism risk. Please sum the total of Riley's failed responses. Riley's MChat form indicates that Mom indicates he has failed 5 items. This places him in the medium range of risk and would require that you as the provider do some additional investigation using the follow-up form to determine his risk. You should refer to the MChat RF follow-up questions, which were in the download packet. These are a series of follow-up questions designed specific to each question and are needed to improve your ability to make a proper referral. Using the MChat RF without the follow-up questions significantly increases the number of kids you will refer, and this will cause problems for the referral system. By using the follow-up questions, you can reduce the MChat referral rate to an acceptable level, and it's important to know that when a child is positive on the MChat RF after follow-up questions, they have approximately a 50% risk of a diagnosis of an autism spectrum disorder. I want to emphasize that the MChat RF does not diagnose autism, and you should share this with your families, but it does indicate risk of a possible diagnosis. The order of the questions when children score in the medium range is up to you, but you should consider items that you can validate through additional observations in your office. In Riley's situation, the first question that we decided to ask the parent about had to do with whether or not Riley was able to play pretend or make-believe. Mom had indicated no to this. The follow-up question form gives you a variety of examples where children typically play make-believe. These are questions like, does Riley pretend to drink from a cup or talk on the telephone? Mom consistently answers no to all of these questions. You do not have to ask additional questions. You can just ask the ones on the form. But when Mom answers no to all of these, Riley's response on this would be a fail. Note that if Mom answered yes to any one of those, Riley would have passed this item. The second question we'll go through is question number 14. Does Riley look the parent in the eye when they're talking to them? Again, there are some specific questions you can ask the parent right on the form. Mom responds yes to one of the questions and no to all the others. This takes you down the middle portion of the algorithm, which leads you to ask the follow-up question of whether or not Riley does this every day when he needs something, and Mom indicates no. Again, this takes you to a fail, and Riley will now have failed 2 follow-up questions. This is sufficient and completes the MChat RF follow-up process, but for purposes of example, we're going to show you Riley's parents' responses to the other 3 questions. In each of these, please refer to the algorithm and the questions that you would ask in order to determine the response pass or fail. Now that you've completed Riley, let's do one additional example form. Roger is a 2-year-old in your office for some significant concerns about language and behavior. His MChat form was included with the download links for this module. Take a couple of minutes to review Roger's form and score it. Roger's score form indicates that he has failed 8 items, which places him at high risk. In the normal scoring algorithm, it's perfectly acceptable to have further discussions with Mom and refer Roger for further diagnostic evaluation. For purpose of example, we're going to show you a couple of follow-up questions that you might also consider asking in the office to further validate the concerns on the MChat RF. For purposes of this example, we've asked Roger's mother about whether or not Roger follows a point when she indicates something in the room. Mom says no, And basically, you can follow up with, when you point at something, what does Roger typically do? Mom basically says he ignores her, or looks around the room randomly, or looks at her finger. All these responses are failed responses and indicate the conclusion of that follow-up question. The next question is the question about, is Roger interested in other children? Mom had said no, and the follow-up question is to ask, what does Roger do when he's around children at the playground or the supermarket? Does he pay attention to children or respond to children? Mom says no, and that's an immediate failed response. Some additional resources about screening are currently available through the American Academy of Pediatrics. The Screening Technical Assistance and Resource Center, STAR website, provides a lot of background information that will complement what you're learning today. START, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. More information is available at our website, www.tnaap.org.
This has been a very informative presentation for me, and I hope it has been for you as well. Thank you for joining us.